not working. Yeah, because it was, oh, it's working now. We're on. Okay. Good evening. Good evening. I love such a responsive audience. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to another fantastic opportunity to celebrate and affirm Black brilliance. Yes! And at the end of a week that has had the volume turned up. So, I'm Lisa Z. Morgan. I'm the chair of fashion design, and I am so incredibly grateful to be here at the 6th event in the ongoing series Black Dress Talks. As many of you are now very familiar, this series was envisioned and developed by Pratt tenured fashion professor Adrienne Jones. Ms. Jones, as I've come to know her, is the founder of the 2014 exhibition Black Dress, which was co-curated with the also very wonderful Rochelle Etienne Robinson. So this landmark exhibition honored and celebrated Black designers and addressed the lack of diversity in the expansive industry called fashion. And then in January this year, on the 10th anniversary of Black Dress, Ms. Adrienne and Rochelle did it all again and created Black Dress 2 Homage at the Pratt Gallery in Manhattan. This was Black Dress with the volume turned very high. The exhibition, we're still on. The exhibition was a phenomenal success. It was featured in Vogue, Hyperallergic, Women's Wear Daily, and The Cut, to name a few. So I'm going to hand over to Ms. Adrienne Jones now, who's going to introduce our legendary guest this evening. So please join me in showing a tremendous amount of love and respect for Ms. Adrienne Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for coming out. This is a real special event for me tonight. I want to dedicate this to my mom, who I recently lost. She's my superhero. I remember watching her dress. She was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. So she was not only my mom, she was my muse. I actually got into FIT based on a gown that I had made for her. So it's for you, Mom. I am so honored for tonight's event. I'm not even going to give a long introduction. I'm going to ask the question. What do Andy Warhol, Audrey Hepburn, Paloma Picasso, Meryl Streep, Diana Ross, Naomi Campbell, Janet Jackson, and that girl Beyonce, what do they all have in common? This incredible man that we are honoring and speaking to tonight, Mr. Freddie Leiba. We've got a lot to talk about, so I'm not going to waste any more time.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. He's such a gentleman. You all ready?
Ready?
Okay. All right, we've got a slideshow already. You want to talk about this one?
Oh, my
This
mother.
is his beginnings. And we want you to tell us a little bit about your background and who that stunning woman is and what she means to you.
Well, everything. My mother, I go back to 1940s. It was all about manners. If I have elbows on the table, I get a slap. I mean, she was really strict about being a gentleman. But also, my father disappeared. Didn't want the responsibility of a child. So she's a single mom, and this is back in the 1940s. And to make ends meet, she had a job in a printing house, and in the evenings she would sew. And that's how I learned about fashion. But she sewed children's clothing, party dresses for little girls, just to make extra money. And then for Christmas, Santa Claus gave me a library card. I mean, I'm supposed to be getting toys. And so the library card was really what started this whole journey. So I went to the library, and then I remember there were two libraries in Trinidad. There was the American Library and the British Library. The British Library was all about more education, but the American Library, this is where I found Dana Vreeland was a fashion editor at American Vogue in the beginning, and I saw these pictures of this woman, of Wilhelmina and all these models, and incredible. And I just got totally obsessed with that. I would bully my mother to look like those pictures. So my mother realized that, she would sew, and she'll, have a tug of war with what she looks like. And so she decided to, I started doing paper dolls. I'm making dresses and cutting them out and putting the clips on them. So when, she worked in a printing house, and in the printing house, and in the evening she would sew to make a living. But in the printing, she'd bring home paper, and I would start drawing, and I started drawing dresses. And then all of that led to me getting involved with fashion, bullying how to dress. What I learned about fashion is going to the movies. But children weren't allowed to see any kind of movies with lovemaking. I went to see musicals. And that's why I discovered Rita Hayworth and seeing all these things, and seeing how they dress. And I said, bully my mother to dress like that. I wouldn't speak to her if she didn't dress like that. So the movies in the 50s were just amazing, all the musicals and all that. And I'd go every Saturday. Was my thing to go to cinema to see these musicals, not realizing the day would come and I'd actually meet these people. So my mother got a job. An American couple came to New York, and they met my mother, and they said, we'd like to take you to America. And she came to America as a nanny, taking care of children. And I stayed in the Caribbean with her brother and his wife. So later on, she sent for me, and I started going to school. When she came, so I started going to school, and I was going to, but my point was to become a designer, because I drew dresses. I didn't know what Stylist was or anything like that in those days, because it really didn't exist in those days. There were editors like that, but I had no idea of that. But I was bullying her into, I'd draw a dress and show it to her, and hopes that she would. So she had to deal with all of that sort of stuff that was going on. Then when she came to New York, she came as a nanny, I said, but then later on, she sent for me, and I came to New York, and I went to, I don't know if that's school, so it was, I went to, FIT had just opened.
Okay.
So it was the first time when it opened, I went there. And then there was so now the 60s is coming around, and it was all the hippie movement was going on, all of that. And they did a competition called the Design In, because it was the Lovin' in those days. So they had a Design In, where we all had to spend a day designing dresses, drawing dresses. And in the designing, I won the prize. And when that happened, I got a little job going a lingerie designer. This is in New York in the beginning. A lingerie designer who her name was Rosalind Hart, and she had she was a designer for Maiden Form, which is underwear. So I got, as an intern, I started working with her. But and she, besides doing the lingerie, she'd do bras and panties, but also I would draw the nightgowns, peignoir sets and things like that. But I started, because I was doing a lot of research in art, I did a collection using Mondrian in the tricot cloth with different patches of color. Bloomingdale saw this, and the whole front of Bloomingdale did my lingerie. And anyway, that kind of started the whole process. So I went to England. England is, of course, now, it is a start of Vivienne Westwood. So actually, it was a man who worked for the royal family. He was an accountant for the Queen, for the royal family. His name was Gary Arnott.
Okay, you're moving a little bit too fast.
Am I? Well, I have a bad memory, so
No, it's okay.
yeah.
So these are some of the many people that you have worked with.
Yes.
Okay? And your career has inspired so many. Who or what inspired you as your journey as a stylist? I know you wanted to start as a designer.
Yeah, but what inspired me was really, it's about women, and also seeing women in the movies. That's really what inspired me. And not realizing one day I'm actually going to meet some of these women. That's why.
Well, who were some of the women that you saw in the movies?
Rita
That you
Hayworth,
met.
Marilyn Monroe. But one of my mother's jobs, actually, when she came to New York, she worked for a company called J.D. Denningham with the dry cleaners on Sutton Place. And that's where all the movie stars did their dry cleaning. So I would meet her after work from school, and then she'd show me Marilyn Monroe's dress, the gold dress from the Kennedy. She'd show me all these dresses. And
Wow.
so that was that started the whole career, not realizing that one day I'm going to actually
That you
meet
would
some of those
actually
people.
And work with them.
Yeah.
So we have some more slides coming up. And they're showing your illustrious 50-plus year career in the fashion industry. Can you share some of your highlights from some of these
This opened
moments?
the doors for me.
That one opened
That
the
opened
doors
the
for
doors
you?
for me.
Does everybody know who this is? Do we have
Yeah, he opened. Well,
You know,
I'll tell you how this started.
Andy
yeah.
Warhol?
Yeah. Well, what happened was that living in England is where I got to understand fashion, because the Beatles was happening there, the Rolling Stones, and I was working on King's Road, which is it was like a fashion show on King's Road in those days. So when I came to New York, there's a man called Mark Ballard, and Mark was the art director for Andy Warhol. But I met him when I was living in Europe. He was going to school in Rome, When he went to New York, we hooked up again, and he's the one who brought me to it was called the factory in those days. That's what Andy's office is called, the factory. So I went there and I met Andy, and then because I had the connections with the fashion designers, because in England, I met the woman that I work with. Her name was Joan Burstein, and she's the woman who discovered Karl Lagerfeld, all of the design. They used to come in like salespeople Karl Lagerfeld just started working for Chloe, and they come in like salesmen.
Right.
So I met all these people from Joan Burstein. So when I came to New York, I had all the contacts, and that's why they hired me, because I can get the clothes.
Okay.
So that's how it started.
Wow. In addition to creating looks, you've been commissioned to create these plates. You did plates?
Yeah, well, the plates this is later on. The plates was when the AIDS was happening, and everyone I know was dying of AIDS. It was a mystery thing. And I was invited to a dinner, and it was a woman who made dinnerware. I happened to be sitting next to her. But in those days, you go to a cocktail party and you wore a red ribbon on your lapel. So I'm sitting there talking to her, and I'm playing with a ribbon, and I kind of accidentally put it on the starter plate. And she's telling me, she asked me, what do I do? And then she said, well, I have a dinnerware company it's right across from Bloomingdale's on the 3rd Avenue side of Bloomingdale's. It was the Antique Center it was called, and her shop was in there. So she invited me to come there and said, I was thinking about you told me, and I will do that plate.
Wow.
So I did a plate and a mug, and all the proceeds went to AIDS. Then later on, I'd been to Africa to visit, and I saw the poverty that was going on. Little children being prostituted, and it was just horrible. And then I did the African plate, and I sent the money to them.
That was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
So that was the start.
You want to talk about any of these shoots?
Well, this is a very special Karen Bjornson. When I went to Karen Alexander. When I went to, I was after Andy Warhol, I went to Harper's Bazaar, and I became the fashion director at Harper's Bazaar. And when I was at Harper's Bazaar, there was no one like me, looking like me in Harper's Bazaar. But, it was a wonderful start. So they sent me to California to photograph Julia Roberts. She had just started her career, a movie called Pretty Woman, it was called.
Yes.
So they hired me, so I went to dress her. But to deal with Julia Roberts, you speak to the publicist, and there's a lot of yeses and nos. So I go with a ton of clothing, like a salesman. And I hung it all there, and I realized, so she picked the dress, what she wanted to wear. But I hid some of them that she wouldn't see. And I said, because I'm in LA, I'll call Karen after Julia is gone, and so we can photograph her. Mm. But I kept, because in the magazine, it's all about the advertising that is important, because that pays the finances to keep a magazine alive. So Calvin Klein had just started his career, and he was the hot thing with Brooke Shields and all of that. And I hid some of the Calvin Klein clothes, and I put it on Karen, and that's how she got the cover, because they looked at it because of the advertising. So that was the start of me styling it.
Yeah.
But these are all later on. That was the when I got to the cover.
Was the one.
Yeah. And that's all Calvin Klein she's wearing.
Any one of these stand out to you? Oh, look at baby Denzel.
Yeah, well, that was actually when he did, what was the movie? Malcolm X.
Oh, that was
Sorry,
Malcolm X.
Malcolm X, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it
Yeah.
says Malcolm X.
Yeah, so that, and then Rolling Stone magazine out took that. Oh, you can't hear? Oh, they can't hear.
Can we, you can hear over there? Okay, so maybe keep your hand down. You talk a lot with your hands,
Oh,
like,
okay,
like
yeah.
the Italians. Is that better?
Can you hear?
In the back, can we get the volume turned up on Mr. Freddie's mic, please? Okay, now test it out.
Can you hear me?
Is that,
Yes?
all right, stand by while we have some technical difficulties.
Is it?
Well, I'm gonna let them touch the mic. I am not mic girl. I'm not getting in trouble for that.
Oh, is that what it is? Yes?
Much better? Okay.
Yes?
All right. Let's continue. Which one of these stand out that you want to,
Well-
you love?
Well, Bette Midler was she was going on concert and she hired me to do the poster. So that was for the New York Times. Yeah.
Oh, for Bette Midler?
For Bette Midler. Yeah.
Nice, nice.
Viola Davis, I did for Essence magazine. Vanessa Williams, I did for Ebony. Yeah. Avon, I had a contract with Avon, and to do all of the styling. So that was from I forget her name. Selma Hayek.
Selma
Sorry. Selma Hayek. And yeah, so Meryl Streep. That picture of Meryl Streep was I had to dress her to go to President Obama,
Very nice.
to the White House.
Did you,
Sorry? Catherine Zeta-Jones, yeah. That's right, yeah. So Renee Fleming, this is taken by Princess Margaret's husband, Snowden. And I went to England, and he brought me to England to photograph her. And that was the Dior, John Galliano's Dior.
this one I absolutely love.
Well, this is Alvin Ailey.
Yes,
And I did a story on dancers.
beautiful.
But using the clothes, yeah. And this is another with Renee Fleming with the president,
Obama.
yeah.
Okay. In your experience, you have worked with notable artists, professionals, and creators. What advice do you have on how to cultivate the client relationships?
Well,
how do you make them feel comfortable when you're talking?
well, listen to them. Tell them that, listen to them. They're the ones that are hiring me. I'm listening to them. What am I supposed to be doing? And then I would add my 2 cents in telling them do what they expect, and give them other things that I think can work.
Are they always receptive?
Well, I never had any problems, to be quite honest. Yeah, because I covered it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I took their needs and I ended things that might have possibilities.
Oh.
Oh dear,
these
it's
are
Donna
so-
Ross.
Yes, oh dear. Oh dear.
Yeah. Well, this was for Harper's Bazaar, and when I found out about Madonna from Danceteria, I used to go clubbing in the Studio 54 in Danceteria. And then she was a big, she was there every night, you know. Thing. And the woman, how she was discovered, there was a company called Sire Records, and that's who really started her. But I happen to know Seymour Stein and Linda Stein, who own Sire Records. And they're the ones who, that's where I found out about Madonna. And that was for Harper's Bazaar.
And Janet?
Yeah. That's up there, yeah. That was for Rolling Stone magazine.
Okay.
And that's a Terry Mugler top she's wearing.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Janet Jackson, Dana Ross. I kind of wanted to make her look funky. I got a vintage leather biker's jacket, but pull it off the shoulder, and that was the thing. And Janet Jackson, that was for Vanity Fair. Yeah. But she's also has remained friends with me to this day.
Beautiful.
Because I was there, she was with me when her brother died.
Oh,
She's visiting me, and I had flew to LA to the funeral, and you know, yeah.
and you brought some of your closest friends here with
Well,
you this evening.
Wendy, Rebecca, Carl, and Billy, and well, Rebecca, you know, has been very, you know, but Wendy, I met Wendy and her sister. Because Wendy's sister was, you know, Wendy's sister, remember meeting them when the Met Ball started back in was the 60s, I remember. Is it the 70s? Yeah. So her sister was working with Dana Vreeland was doing it then, right? And I remember I used to be in the museum, and that's when I met her sister. And when I got involved with the fashion with Mark Ballas and people like that, I met Wendy a little later on. And Dana Vreeland was actually, that Vogue in those days was just what turned me on to getting involved. Because in the library, I borrowed those books, and I'd see all these incredible women dressed in, you know, and that's where I got the inspiration from Dana Vreeland and Vogue. And then, you know, the rest is. But it's been a journey.
So what were some of the obstacles
A lot.
that you faced during your journey? Because you're still here, and you're still working with, you know, here we have that girl, Beyonce.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it had to, this was something that they didn't want. Beyonce had just left Destiny's Child,
Okay.
and I went to photograph. This is Harper's Bazaar. No, this is in Style magazine. I went to photograph another actress, and I hid those dresses, the dresses she's wearing. This is actually a vintage dress I got in an Indian shop because I wanted to make her look kind of a hippie-ish, and, you know. So I told the photographer, after I did the shoot with the model, let's go and did this picture. And it came back, and then of course they ran. This is for InStyle magazine. This is later on. This I did for. This is a Bill Blass dress that I had. I was working. You know Michael Volbrat. Michael Volbrat was an artist, but he became the designer for Bill Blass, and I would do the styling for Bill Blass. This dress actually. The inspiration for that, there was an Esther Williams movie that I saw. It was like that, but in pastel colors, in blue and pale pink. And I showed him the picture of Esther Williams. I said, why don't we make this dress? And that was a result of that dress. And then I got it on Beyonce.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful.
Now, this that picture there with Essence is with the, Beyonce came from Texas.
Yes.
And she wanted, and when I had a conversation with the ex, I said, why don't I go back to her roots? So we went to Texas, and that was a cover, but the inside I had her with a horse, on the horse, and all the things she would do on a farm in Texas.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
This is all later on. This is more current. There was I did these pictures, a student made that outfit for me.
The blue?
The black, yes, black and blue, yeah. So I went up, I bought a lot of stuff from vintage shops and all of that, you know, because I wanted to do this story. It was done for a magazine. Not a really fashion magazine, it was kind of I forget the name of the magazine actually, but it was a big magazine and they asked me to do this story. And I came up with this ideas of making it kind of, you know, taking the fashion into making it a bit kind of funky. And I had this man do this hairdress. She's wearing my riding gloves. So that was a whole different story.
That was a
yeah.
different story. So I'm going to take you back a moment. We'll freeze this one. We were talking about the challenges, some of the challenges that you've experienced over your career.
Well, there were a few of them, but I mean, the thing is, you know, I kind of rose above it also, you know, because I would go to, I'll tell you one of the things that stays in my mind. Macy's, the department store, Don Mello was the president of Macy's at that time. No, not Don, sorry. Don was at Bergdorf's, yeah. When I went to Macy's, they hired me to do the advertising for the New York Times. And I would go around the store and they showed me the clothes, the whatever, but I had to go around the Macy's to select the accessories. Next thing I know, I'm in handcuffs. They thought I was stealing.
Oh.
So I had to call the president. I'm an assistant with me, goes to get the president to to bring her down. And Dawn was at Mello. No, but she was at Bergdorf's after. But she was Joan Kaler was there. Yeah. My memory's gone. So yeah.
It's okay.
But Don Mello also.
happens every
But
day.
also Don Mello. The picture you had with the Olivia de Havilland that we just saw. When they were doing this, Gone with the Wind on Turner Classic Movies, they called me to dress her. And that's when I took her to Bergdorf's and she got that black dress. From Don Mello.
So,
And then that picture, she gave that, Olivia de Havilland gave me that picture. You know. And she also gave me a picture in my apartment of when she was doing Gone with the Wind, when she was young, going down, and she signed that picture for me.
so you're just filled with greatness all throughout your life.
Well, I'm not saying about greatness. No, it wasn't great.
Yes.
No. I don't think about it as greatness.
Yes.
It was a job, and it was a job that the only thing I could do to put a ham in I couldn't do that. I mean, it's the only thing I can do to dictate my mother. Drive her crazy if I didn't like the dress. I wanted to take a scissors and chop it up. I wouldn't speak to her. You gotta look like Rita Hayworth. You gotta look.
But you obviously did it very well. Because look, that's that plate.
Well, this is the AIDS plate, and that's the plate that wanted Africa. So it's an empty plate for a full plate.
Beautiful. Now I know you like to talk about, you like to speak to the students,
Yes.
right? And we do have some in the audience. What advice would you give them if they were considering a career as a stylist?
Well, I mean, to me, it's about finding out, knowing about fashion. If it's to be a stylist, finding out fashion, knowing the decades of fashion, just knowing just history is important.
Did you hear that, everybody? Research.
Research is huge. Because that's why I started everything, is by joining the library. That was research.
Right.
So I don't know if the library exists anymore in that way. That's what Santa Claus gave me, a library card. So.
We have a great library here at Pratt
You
now.
go good, yes.
Whether or not they use it the way they should is
Yeah,
another story.
yeah.
But research was very important too.
Yes. And it's the libraries where I realized who Daniel Whelan was, because in the library they had all the Vogues from that time. And then it was just, when I saw that, I just couldn't believe seeing all these, and that's what gave me the inspiration also. The library card.
The library card. The library card. When you look back, what are you most proud of in your career?
Well, I took a lot of chances. I look back at the people that supported me. Just the same way. The people that supported me. Rebecca is one of them. Wendy's one of them. Wendy's sister. So I had a lot of support. Don Mellor. There's a lot of people that supported me.
Is that what carried you through some of the challenges that you faced?
I'm sorry?
Is that what carried you through, the support
Oh,
that you
absolutely.
got? Was
Totally.
that carried you through some of the challenges?
Yeah. And then, a lot of it had to do with women, but of course I had a few male designers. Like Michael Volbrak, remember Michael Volbrak? Well, he went to Bill Blass, he hired me to... the dress on Beyonce,
Yes.
that was Michael Volbrak.
Yes.
But I showed him a picture of Esther Williams of that dress. But it was all in pastels, and he did that dress. But he was also, because he was an artist, but became a designer.
Beautiful. I'm sitting here just awestruck.
Well, it's a journey. But the journey wasn't always perfect.
So talk to us about some of those imperfect times.
Well, the imperfect times was, as I said, a taxi wouldn't stop for me in those days. Going into the department store, have Don Mellor upstairs, they think I'm stealing. Macy's has happened to me.
Do you feel like any of that has changed?
Well, I don't know now, but I don't know, yeah. No? But no, I think no, I don't have that happen, no. Or if it is, it just is not, no. Because then I was very innocent, and I was doing a job.
Right.
Everything has changed now, So.
Well, do you feel that these doors are more open now
I think
for
so.
people of color?
I think so.
You do?
I think so, yeah.
But you still got to do the research.
I still do research to this day. I get jobs. I'm kind of semi-retired now, but I do a lot of talks to students also. The only job I have now, you know who Ian Schrager is, Studio 54?
No.
Steve Rubel and Ian Schrager. Well, this is a whole different story, but it has to do with a bit of fashion also. And it's still something I still do, is that when they went into because he had Studio 54, and everyone was there at Studio 54, and I was there every Saturday night, and, getting stoned and doing all the things I shouldn't do, having a good time. However, Studio 54, after the Studio 54, they went to jail because of taxes and like that.
Yes.
And when they came out of jail, he started doing the first boutique hotels, which was the Royal Journalism. And he hired me to design the uniforms for these hotels. They had, and that's what I got. I started doing the uniforms, all this, and then up to this day, I'm still doing these the Editions Hotel, he's part of.
Okay.
And I still do them. So that's really that's the only job I have now with the Editions. He isn't involved with it anymore, but he passed me down to the people of the editions.
So you're not really retired.
Oh, yeah.
So now we're going to turn it over to the audience and see who has some questions for you.
Yeah.
What was the crowning moment?
Crowning moment, really?
What was the crowning moment?
Oh, the crowning, oh.
Yeah, one of your highlights, one of your many highlights.
Well, giving people a chance. Giving them a chance. I
That's,
did. I mean, like, putting
Girls who didn't get a chance to be on the cover of a magazine because my mother was, was a
bulldozer in Ladies First, and so I took a lot of chances.
and we thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. We have a quiet. We have
Yes,
one in
so
the back.
asking, in the experience of everything that you've done, sorry about that. In the experience, if you could go back 10 or 15 years and do anything different to result in a different outcome, would you do it?
I'm sorry.
If you could go back 10 to 15 years
Yes.
to do something different for a different result, would you have done it? I don't really know. Is
I
that the
don't-
question?
Yes.
What would you do differently?
Nothing. I don't have no other skills.
Thank you.
No, this is the passion. This is the skills.
That's the important word.
Yeah.
Passion. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. Hello. I have a question. Out of all the celebrities you styled, has each celebrity taught you something different that you put towards the next celebrity? Like, as in, like, what have
My
they
mother
taught?
taught me
Oh.
is to have good manners and respect. Else, I get a beating if I did. No, my mother taught. I did this automatically, knowing how to treat people.
Okay.
taking chances of giving people enough opportunities like Karen Alexander. I took a lot of chances.
Because I think I can be doing this when I can't, help anyone. So I got a lot of this.
Besides all of it, I got involved in a lot of charities.
Every Christmas,
My mother would drive me to an orphanage. She'd make little toys for them. That was my Christmas. And she'd make
Carol singers. I have a red Santa Claus cap on. The girls have little white dresses. And every Christmas I had to do it. She'd take her to the children's hospital. I think it's here. Oh,
No,
yeah.
your mic. Your mic. He's checking.
Oh,
Why, you can't hear me?
you just
Oh.
when you turn that way.
Oh, okay. All right, we're back on.
Yes.
We're back on.
Question?
So you were in a place, you felt like you were in a place where you could reach back
Yes.
and help others.
Yes.
Talk a little bit more about that.
Well, traveling did a lot because I went to India, I went to Africa, and I really saw, it was just unbelievable what I had to go through. And I went to Haiti, where the people, fathers bringing their little daughters to prostitute them. It was just unbelievable to go through, to see that, to the tourists.
And then how did that affect what you were doing in the fashion industry?
Well, the fact, going through all these journeys, it was an education. Fashion is one thing, but also I'm dealing with young girls. I'm dealing with people who have editors and people like that. And it was always my mother would be saying, ladies first, and have good manners, and if you're walking through a door, let the lady in first. She was really like a policeman.
Oh, we have a question? Wait, she needs the mic.
I'll say what he would never say.
Can you please introduce yourself for those who don't
Hi,
know?
I'm Rebecca Moses. I'm a good friend of Freddie Leiba's.
Well,
And a fashion designer and an
incredible
artist and
fashion
painter.
designer.
All right. Yes. Thank you. I've had the privilege of working with Freddie over many years. And it was always a great joy and a great learning experience to work with him because Freddie is the least egotistical person in our industry. Not that you have to be, but that's how he was raised. And it's always for him is getting the picture, is getting that image or getting the show to be right. And there was no ego, no prima donna. He's the real deal. And it wasn't about him. He was always putting himself behind the celebrities, behind the designers. And that's a rarity. And it's one of the qualities that makes him, I call him the gentleman stylist, because he was never flashy. You know, you would walk into his living room and Mick Jagger could be sitting there, but it was never like, come over, Mick Jagger's here. It was never like this. And he keeps it real. And I adore him for this because we're in an industry that is anything but real. So he has, and Wendy can elaborate on this, but you have set a standard, a truly gold standard on the creative process and working part of a team and doing the research. It was never beneath him. And that's all I have to say.
So I wrote to Rebecca. When Rebecca started Jenny, when I got involved with her, she wanted to come to Italy to support her. Yeah. No, psychic. So that was a wonderful period then too.
Oh, Freddie. So a lot of times when we think of stylists, we think of editorials and magazines, but your career was beyond that. You also did a lot of styling for advertisements like Macy's.
Pay the rent.
So with brands like everyone from like Macy's and De Beers, Diamonds, Rolex.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that part of styling in your career, the advertisement side?
Well, the photographers were responsible for bringing me to these people. And for instance, when they did the Lancôme, Isabella Rossellini was the face of Lancôme, and Albert Watson was a very famous photographer. Irving Penn was a photographer, and Irving Penn, who was a master photography, he brought me, he said he's the one who brought me to do the Lancôme with Isabella Rossellini. So the photographers were also a big part of my, of what I did. Yeah.
Yes.
So it was Irving Penn, Horst, the French photographer, Horst V. Horst. In his will, he left me a dozen pictures that I did for him, and these things are hanging in the Louvre in Paris. His work is hanging in the Louvre. So I had a wonderful relationship with because it wasn't about me, it's about what they needed, and I'll bring extra things that what they wouldn't expect. But, and so it was, and that's where I had the relationship with the photographers. But Albert Watson was a big one, Irving Penn.
And then she met them and it
The journey went on. And then when I went to Essence, I started to bring in John Baptiste was a black double. And so, you know, I did what I can do.
But it also speaks to your creative eye. You weren't just going in and taking clothes off a rack and placing them on. You had your own style. You had a vision, which is why
it's
so
a lot
many
of
people.
research. It's about research, and also because
Did
I
he
did
mention research again?
You know, it's researching and finding out about looking at a person and create a vision to it. But you know, the research, all my stuff is really back into the glory days of Hollywood and going to the movies and reading.
But again,
Yeah.
that was research.
It's research, of course, yeah.
We have another question.
So, hey, hello. So I wanted to ask, So, do you have any advice or what advice would you have for a young stylist on the come up when it comes to sourcing pieces and building like a rapport or a relationship with clothing stores and designers?
Well, you've got to be prepared to be, if you're going to be a stylist, you've got to be prepared. You've got to have knowledge about fashion. The people who have hired you, you have a conversation with them, and if you have some ideas, you share it. But
Research.
research. The library card was my
The library card.
Doesn't exist anymore.
Hi, Freddie.
Hello.
It's Adrienne.
Ah, my God. Wow.
So, I have to just say, I've worked with Freddie for hundreds of years, it seems.
Yeah,
I
my
think
God, I didn't see you there.
Harper's Bazaar days. And I have to say, like I've dealt with so many stylists, Freddie will always call me, hi, darling, can I come up? And he'd actually come up.
Yeah, no,
Most
of course.
stylists have a million assistants.
Yeah.
You never see them. And he just was so hands-on. And, you know, I just want to thank you for your beautiful friendship,
But
for
also
your
and
talent.
your clothes. Those
what?
furs.
And my furs. Yeah. Thank you for, you know, you did such a beautiful job.
Oh no, I didn't realize you were sitting there.
Hi, Freddie, it's Elaine.
Oh, Elaine.
I just want to say I met you when I was in my 20s, and I was starstruck by you. The biggest thing that I was starstruck about is how pious you were and how low-key you were and what a gentleman you were. And I was just starting out in the business, and you treated me like a queen.
Well, I had my mother.
Maybe.
But I'd get a licking if I didn't.
Yes.
Ladies first.
And, you know, the whole time I had my agency, I never heard one person, everybody talks about everybody, and I never heard anyone say anything but the best things about you, besides the fact that your work is just absolutely breathtaking.
Oh, boy.
Hi, Mr. Leiba. I love fashion. I was just wondering, have you ever considered writing your life story?
Well, that's probably something hopefully happens. They're trying to do a documentary, and they're trying to do, we'll see. We'll see.
I hope so.
Hello, hi. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for being here.
Of course,
this is such a pleasure. I just feel honored just being in the room with you. As someone who has always loved fashion and just appreciates just the artistry of just lighting and photography and everything, I just wanted to find out, do you feel that travel, because I know that you said you traveled a lot when you were working with all these wonderful people, did you feel when you were going to all these different places that also affected the way you were styling people in general?
Yeah, because you know, the thing is, you go to different countries. You go to Muslim countries, it's a whole different thing. You go to Italy, you go to Paris, it's all, and so you kind of celebrate what it is. And also, you know, and also some of the, you would see, I mean, I would see a homeless person sitting on my, next door to me, but they have such a, but I live next door to a church and there's a lot of homeless people sleeping there. And I would see these things, they're kind of keeping themselves warm, and and I look at them and I say, my God, you know, there's an idea there, you know, by just seeing people, observing people too. You know, one of the things that happened years ago when the subway, so this is the 50s and 60s in the subway, they would have Miss New York, pictures of, in the subways. Yeah, it doesn't happen anymore.
It's Miss Subway.
Yeah, Miss Subway, yeah. And I mean, and of course I was in the subway every day going back and forth to school. And I got a lot of, you know, and that was one of the things that was all these beautiful women, pictures of women. So, you know, it's just by observing what was going on, not only in the fashion books, what was going on in the street. There were so many things. You know, when I went to England especially, you know, working on King's Road, where it was like a fashion show on King's Road. And I had this job selling as a salesman, selling jeans. All the pop stars, the Beatles would come in there. But King's Road is where really the fashion really got into it. Because it was a fashion show. Vivienne Westwood had just started. And it was just a fashion show on King's Road, you know, and it was working and doing that is really what brought me to do, you know, but when I came to New York, our friend Mark Pallet, who was a fashion director for Andy Warhol, and that's how I got involved with. He saw what I was doing in London, and I don't know. And I was hired by Andy Warhol to do those.
So it was a lot of your life experience also, and just paying attention to your environment.
Yeah.
And going to the club.
Going to the clubs, and hopefully not getting stolen, but yeah, going to the clubs, but also, you know, the thing is, my mother is always ladies first, and if I stepped in front of her, she was like a soldier. So.
Yes, every time we went to a door, I went to open the door for him, and he's opening the door for me, and I'm walking into the door because he's being this amazing gentleman. So I had to let Mr. Freddie open the door for me. We have another question in the back.
Oh, we do, okay.
I was wondering if you had any advice on how to make connections as a young fashion designer.
How to make, I'm sorry?
I don't know, I didn't hear.
I was wondering if you had I was wondering if you had any advice on how to make connections as a young fashion designer.
How to make connections.
How to make connections is, I mean, but today's world is different because you make connections now on social media. In those days, when I was doing it, it was a different time. You didn't have all of this. It was actually being your presence, meeting the right people, and education is important, most important. And these were the tools you needed. You know, going to school, studying it, and also you're dressing people.
Can I help you answer that question?
Yes.
You have to learn how to talk to people, not be afraid to go up and introduce yourself.
Yeah.
One of the things my mom always said to me, she said, wherever you go, make a friend.
Yeah.
And from that day to this, I have always done that. I made 2 new friends tonight. And you know, we live in a world now where it's all about the phone.
Yeah.
Put the phone away and meet somebody. Like when you leave here tonight, you should have met at least 3 or 4 people that you didn't know before. And just get accustomed to talking to people and being in places. I mean, yeah, you got to go to school, you got to get your classwork done, but we had a life round the clock, 24 hours. We were in school, we were in the clubs, we were down the street. Every time something happened, we showed up. And that's a good 50% of it, showing up. And then the other half is research.
Hi, Mr. Gibb. It's an honor and a pleasure. My name's Aiden Perez, and I'm a senior sitting on pins and needles. So I was wondering what it was like for your first job experience and like how that kind of evolved into what you are now. Obviously, you didn't have all those big connections when you started, so was it really just your proper manners?
Well, I mean, the thing is, the first job is never the first job is, it's always like going to kindergarten. You're starting to learn about the future, So the first jobs I had, and I learned from the first jobs, because I didn't know what a stylist was, because when they asked me to dress, I said, I don't want anyone to dress me. Why would I be dressing them? So we'll pay you fee. I didn't know what a stylist was. But also, New York, I think your sister was involved with this. New York Magazine, no, Anna Winter, first job was New York Magazine. And she did a job, I didn't know what a stylist was, because in stylist you would think it's a designer, on Stylist. And she opened a page. What we had to do is to take the same suit and do something with it. And it was a Calvin Klein white suit, New York Magazine. And that started the journey. And then when Anna went to Allure magazine, New York magazine, yeah, and then Allure, yeah, she hired me to work there. However, a photographer, which I'm not going to mention names, who didn't want to work with me.
Why?
He had his own agenda. I don't know why. So I said, but I went to Anna and I said, if he doesn't want to work with it, there's no reason for me to be here. So I left. Yeah. Well, he was, and when all this stuff happening, I started working in Hollywood. It's like coming back into my life.
Of course. Of course.
I'm not going to mention the name.
We won't mention the name.
Hi, Mr. Leiba. How are you? It's Susan Moses.
Oh.
I just wanted to publicly thank you for blazing such a bright trail. For people like me, I feel like you ran so that we can walk through. And you really showed me in my career that I can do anything. I didn't have to just do editorial or I didn't have to just do ad campaigns. I could do it all. Right. And I've had a good journey also, and I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much.
That's award-winning stylist, Ms. Susan Moses. Yes.
Okay, good to you.
Do we have, got a question in the back?
Hello. Hello, Mr. Leiba.
You got to speak up.
Oh, hello. I have another question. What is like, how do you make like other people feel like they're themselves with your styling? You know what I mean? Like, is there a fine line between understanding what the person wants and what you want to put on the person?
You gotta listen to the person first. I listen to the person first. Find out what it, because you have to, no, especially working with women, you have to respect what it is they want. And I have a conversation with them before. Tell me what you want, tell me what you don't want, because I'm wasting your time. So I get the information. Or if they have a publicist, I go to the publicist and they tell me, what, they give me a list of the designers they'll possibly do. And of course I do that, but also bring a little extra things so they have a choice. Well, Alec Webb, well, yeah. Well, you know, I was the first person to get a black girl on a cover, number one. And I took a chance. Because that chance I did with Julia Roberts, I spoke about that already. Because I learned from that, and then when I started doing other things, Rebecca was working for Jenny, which after Gianni Versace died, she took over Jenny, and her sister invited me. Her sister came to a fashion show that I had done, Ronaldo Shamas, and I had the fashion show. I mean, I got Iman and Naomi and all the girls, but I had it like they were going to a club. You know, instead of walking back and forth, the music was going and they were kind of, so that's when I met Ella. And when I went to Jenny, it's when I, but one of the things that sadly happened is another support I had was also Giorgio Armani. And Giorgio Armani, I knew, who just died. And Giorgio Armani, when I worked for Bronx of London, she's the one who discovered him. So I knew him back at his very beginning. When I came to New York and he opened the Armani, his office was down in Soho, Emporio Armani it was called, the office. And he asked me to do a show. So I said, what can I do for the show? No, back in those days, all the clubs were around that area, down in Soho, and there's drugs and everything going on. It was quite something. So I said, you know, I'm going to use models. I'm going to go in front of those clubs and ask the girls to be models, and boys and girls. But they were like cute girls and boys going there. I mean, I chose them, of course. So we did this show. I don't know if you know Drina De Niro, Robert De Niro's daughter.
Oh, yes.
She was my assistant.
Yes.
So she and I drag her to the clubs, and because she can have, if I go in, they would think I'm some kind of, you know. But I got her to go, and so we did a show, and we did it like a club. And so they were, you know, they were kind of challenges. I took a lot of chances, but it was.
And it worked.
It worked, yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah. So, you know, those were the, you know, I was taking a lot of chances, and having people support me important.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Hello. I think I've gotten the sense that there's a lot of students here who are fairly worried about making connections. They're worried about making it how they're going to make their mark in the business. And I'm wondering, you as someone who is a legend at this point, at what age do you feel like you felt that you made it? How long do you feel that that took?
It's still happening.
I knew you were going to say that.
But at what point do you feel like you went from struggling to being in demand?
Well, I didn't think I was.
Can we get a mic over here?
Say this. Freddie is really, really super famous, right? And you think, oh, he's made it. I will tell you that the super famous people, like Freddie, every day is a new day. Every day you have to prove yourself. You never feel, ever, if you're a real, true artist, that you've ever made it. You always have doubt. You always think, oh my God, I'm an imposter. The thing that I found in my career and watching Freddie, who is the most authentic, kind, and respectful person, always say yes. Even when you think, this is not the job I want, this is not what I want to do, it's really like, what am I doing? It will lead you, if you really have passion, to the place you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So don't worry. I hope you don't feel that, oh, it's not, I'm too old, I'm too this. But because you never feel secure. As an artist, and you are an artist, you never feel secure. So don't even look to feel secure. Because it's not going to happen. So that's why.
Hi, Freddie. So it's Crystal.
Oh, Crystal.
Yeah, it's me. So I noticed when you style some magazine photo shoot, editorials, or commercial shoot, and you often use something from your own wardrobe, and also like just like a piece of fabric or something, and you're basically recreating a new outfit. Do you see yourself as a designer, fashion designer?
Well, I studied design. That was the beginning of my career, but it ended up being into editor. But I went to school to study. I went to FIT and I studied fashion, making of clothes. And of course, my mother was a seamstress also. So having both, getting involved with both of the making of a garment, and also not me making it, but knowing what goes into making a garment, and of course using it.
Yeah, because I feel like we're in Pratt, and a lot of fashion students, they're graduating soon, and they're thinking about their future. They want to be designer, they want to be stylist, but do you think they can be both, or?
Of course, of course. I mean, you have to go with what for instance, I did so many different things. I was working with photographers. I was doing, I was actually creating things for the hotels that in Vegas Hotel. I was doing that. I mean, it's just, there's so many different ways and there's so many avenues to go with fashion.
Thank you.
You can be a journalist. There's so many things that there's so many different platforms you have.
Hi, I'm just wondering what your kind of take is as, kind of like this veteran stylist on this idea of these up and coming celebrity stylists on things like red carpets who are almost becoming celebrities in themselves. So I'm wondering if you have any kind of takes on that and, what you could speak to as to.
Well, that's a world I'm not interested in. I mean, the passion I have really is to celebrating women, all women. I don't choose a different type of women. I mean, even when I had when I worked for magazines, sometimes I got people off the street to do a picture. When all the girls that I work with, it's the beginning of their career. I didn't make any, because it was giving people a choice, like putting a black girl, an Asian girl. I mean, I made sure that because I was brought up that way. I can't afford to be one thing. I mean, my mother was half Indian, half black. My father was Chinese and born in Venezuela. What am I going to be prejudiced about? So it's about you treat everyone with respect and
Hi, Freddie. It's Byron.
Hi, Byron. Oh, Byron.
Hey. Oh, thanks, everybody. Okay. I remember you did a shoot for Essence, and it was a lot of black designers. I was one of them. And I just remember in that moment, like that day, you were so quietly controlling everything. Speaking to like what Rebecca touched on earlier. Like I remember, first of all, you made it your business to like meet me and introduce me to the model that we'd be posing next to. And like make me feel okay about the girl you selected. She was amazing, so what was not to love? And then I remember you talking to the makeup or the groomer that like totally hooked me up because I hate the way I always looked at that. I was like, wow, I look great today. And then I remember in the moment of the shoot, like we're reacting with the model and we're doing our thing, I remember you kept whispering something behind the photographer. I don't know what you're saying, I don't know. But it was all like really quiet.
Well, the reason for whispering to it is because you don't want to disturb, you don't want to distract what was going on. But if I see maybe the dress is twisted on the girl or something like that, I said, let me get in there, stop for a minute, let me get in there and correct the situation. Or if, because there's so many things you have to look at because so it's because my job after the girl is dressed is to keep an eye behind the photographer to make sure, what is
Shot was
happening.
amazing. And it was.
Yeah.
So thank you. But it was like really, just really interesting to watch, like how you were in control, but you were just, yes.
Yeah. Well, you've got to make, the thing is, I'm there, I have to, as a young girl, I'm there to, to help her. And then if I see anything that's happening with the photographer, or anything, that's my job. It's not only just to dress and just turn my back and leave. I have to be there and to make sure that everything is perfect because people are paying money to have this girl there and all that. And, it's just my responsibility to look at everything, the background, Sorry? Oh, totally, yeah, oh, totally. Everyone wants your job.
Hi, my name is Mikey, but everyone knows me as Papi Diva. Nice to meet you. I appreciate you for your time today. I am a creative director here in New York, and I am going to be vulnerable with everyone and realize that fashion is my weakest strength when it comes to organizing designs and editorial layouts. Everything on the computer, fab, I'm good at. But what is the advice you would have for me on trusting a stylist or trusting people in my studio or my set to really organize these pieces when I have such a weak love language with fashion?
Well, I mean, I try to, the thing is that it's not only about you, it's about you're speaking to maybe the designer, you're speaking to the hair, you're speaking to the makeup. You get everyone advice, and then the photographer, of course, and you become a little family of really making this object perfect. And we all there, so it's not one person doing it. It's a group of people, the hairdresser, the makeup artist, and everyone has to be involved to make that girl who's in front of the camera feel good.
Yes. And it's also about developing those relationships.
Yeah.
You can't work with people that you don't trust. You can't
Of
be
course,
in
yeah.
relationships with people that you don't trust.
Yeah.
So you have to make that first step to make sure that the community that
Yeah.
you're working with are people that you know and that are going to be there for you and that trust you.
But what I would also do too, if it's an actress, I would speak to the publisher first. I want you to know what she would like, what she wouldn't like, so I don't have to waste your time. So I get a list of all the things. And from that list, I provide it, and if I see something that might work, I bring it along to give it a bit of a surprise. But it's really listening to the people, because the girl has to feel good in that dress or whatever it is, and also I'm try to satisfy the client, the girl, the hair, the makeup. There's so many people involved. So you have to make it all come together.
And make the person feel
And
comfortable.
make the girl feel good. She's there.
Hello, it's me, Ira again. Sorry guys, I have a lot of questions. What can I say? I have a question for Mr. Freddie and Mrs. Wendy. When Miss Wendy was talking on, like, you know, we're never going to be satisfied with our art, and we just have to trust the process and keep going. Kind of what you said, right? Okay, good. Just don't want to, yeah. How do y'all come to, like, the middle with the trusting yourself and trusting the art? You know what I mean? Like, how do we overcome it? Because, like, I, like, low-key sometimes do not trust my skill or my art.
That's called growing up.
Yeah.
And you have to learn to trust yourself. You have to learn that what you put out, you have to believe in yourself.
Of course, yeah.
Where do you go to get that? I'm fortunate enough to say, and you've also said it many times, from our parents.
Yeah, totally.
And I know that was a blessing. As a black child who wanted to study the art, and the first in my family to go to college, I realized much later how difficult that was, you know, to be the first one to go to college. It was like, well, can you be a doctor or a lawyer, or even an Indian chief, but an artist? But they believed in me, and they allowed me to go out and be my best self every single day. So if you don't have that, then you have to look inside yourself and step out and say, I am going to be my best self every single day. And you keep doing that every single day. When you're in class, if you're not giving 100%, then you don't really want to do this.
Right, of course, yeah.
This is not an easy industry. This is not an easy time that we're living in. So if you're not putting all of it into it, find out what it is that you really love to do, and then go do that. Mike, please.
Hi, it's such an honor to have you here today, and I'm just so excited to be here. I'm a freshman in the fashion design program, and my question for you is, because so many amazing people here have talked about what an honor it is to be working with you and what an amazing experience it's been. My question is, what makes someone stand out to you when you're wanting to work with them? What makes someone makes you want to go out of your way to work with someone, or make their portfolio stand out, or their resume stand out amongst so many people who are trying to break into the industry?
I'm sorry,
What would you look at to want to bring someone in to work with you? Is that the question?
Well, I mean, my job is to, it's number one, the clients. Have good manners to start with, and also listen. You listen, and you're dealing with the client, you're dealing with the model, maybe her agent, the hair and the makeup. There's a lot of people you have to, that you have to work with, but you are the one who are really making it all happen. I'm dealing with it, listening to them. They might have a better idea that I might not have, So it's about really listening and embracing all of these, things. But I just think it's not only about me. It's about all of the people. The girl got to be happy. the model, the hair and makeup, and it's all you bring it all in.
And please note, there's a level of professionalism that we are witnessing here that's a big part of who he is and what he brings to the table. People already know the legend that he is and the background that he brings with it, and it's because of who this man is. And he represents a professional in the industry. So that means showing up on time.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Listening.
Listening.
Listening, getting to know who your client is. All that's important, but that also comes with the relationships that you build.
Yeah. Listening is very important because you have a lot of cooks in a sitting. You got the hair, the makeup, the publicist. You listen. I want to know the wants and what you don't want. And then listening to that, you get everything. And if you think you see something that they might like, it might be a surprise to them, but you listen first and respect the conversation, and then bring some a little ideas that they might be interested in.
Yes.
Hey, hello. So I have a second question, but I want to introduce myself formally as Malachi. So my second question is, what caused you to pivot from like design to styling? And when you made this transition, did you have any doubts or fears that you were doing the wrong
Well, it
thing?
isn't a transition. I'm still interested in design because I love creating pictures. But also, I've had I do the hotels, which some of them I have to get the clothes, but a lot of them I have to give a drawing to a seamstress to have it made. So it's both of them. I mean, you have to have the idea, of course, I mean, you listen to the client, and if I'm doing an advertising job, you listen to the client, and you provide what the client wants, but you've got to bring some surprises to it too, So it's part of the journey, listening and listening to what some people might be allergic to wearing furs, or you have no idea, So it's about really listening to working with the hair and the makeup. Everyone has an opinion, and you have to bring it all together.
I have a question. Hi, my name's Jacob. I'm a sophomore in fashion. And throughout this whole talk, I actually didn't know what to expect when I came here, but throughout this whole talk, it's kind of been showing me, like, in my personal journey, not even in fashion, just in like life right now, how connected and the emphasis on community. So right now I'm entering a space, and not only fashion, just like the arts in general, where it feels very inorganic, and there's systems that are being built to keep this running. And it's through our generational talk and like social media and just like how we interact, but it's made me almost want to isolate myself from people in general and expressing this art, and I wouldn't say not trusting my inner voice, but not knowing how to communicate it. And I see that, there's a really big emphasis on community, and people have a really deep appreciation for you and how you go and how you were raised and just like, you as a person. So I wanted to ask, what keeps you human and what keeps the community,
Keeps me human. I haven't changed even before I was doing fashion. It's having some manners. Was ladies first. There's a lot of things. It's all fashion manners and listen to the other people. What do you think? And it's not only about me. It's about making that girl, if it's a model, comfortable. You have choices. You listen to them. You listen to the publicists. The hair, the makeup. There's a lot of people involved with it, and then you come up, and then then you get the subject. You have to make the girl feel confident. She's the one who's standing in front of the camera. She ended up being like a mother to them.
I have a second question to that. I would say, what about life right now?
About what?
What about life and fashion? How does it connect and keep your spark on? Well,
fashion is something, it's a job. It's a job you do. The job needs a bit of education about learning about history of it, and enough you're dressing people. So it's like, and knowing how to treat these people. You don't go there with an attitude, and it's like, and I'm dealing with young girls. I mean, I have to be respectful for them, and maybe speak to their parents or the publisher or whoever it is. So it's about that. You just don't, you're there to really support them, and also, it's a job they're doing, and you don't go, I don't go with a big egos. You just go there and make them feel. And when I go there, I go with racks of clothes, of choices, because you have no idea what you might like. It might not work. And so you listen. If there's a publisher that they have, if there's an actress, I listen to the publisher, the one who's in control. So I listen to all the wants and what they don't want, because I'm just wasting their time.
I want to address something that you said about building a community. So I'm going to throw a question back at you, and I just want you to think about it. How do you build a community in isolation?
Sure.
You can get back to me on that.
Sorry, I have to say something. I know a lot of you students that are here. Can you hear me? You're all in a very initial stage in your life. And where you are today is not going to be where you are 10 years from now. Your desires, your hopes, your whole thinking process is going to evolve and change, And Freddie is such a great example of someone who, when Freddie started, there were no stylists. He and Andre Leontali and Michael Roberts, I think, were the three first black male stylists, and not just being black men, but stylists, okay? They opened a world that they probably didn't even realize when they started. Andre was a journalist. Freddie was thinking to be a fashion designer. He went into retail. He came back. The journey is unknown. And you don't have to put that pressure on yourself to think that what you're studying today is going to be your whole life. And this is so important because it will depress you and it will make you fearful of your own growth. Be kind to yourself. Allow yourself to grow. Freddie is an example, and I mean, the three of us sitting here, and Brian, all of us that have been around, Adrienne, we've all gone through metamorphoses. We aren't the same people we were when we were 20. We evolved, we grew, we failed. You will fail, But the idea is to learn from the failure and to figure out what's next. This is not a contest. And if you allow yourself that, you will be in a much healthier position to explore and learn. And when you graduate, you may not find the dream job. You probably won't. So get a job, okay? get a job as a salesperson in a good store or kind of store that you could relate to. You know, if you can become an assistant or an intern to someone else, you take it. This is a process. Don't pinpoint yourselves because otherwise you will shoot yourself before you get started.
My final word. You have community right here at Pratt. These incredible professors, your incredible friends here. You may feel isolated, and I get that so much, but take advantage of the community that you have here, because you're all here together, and you can all support each other, so that's really important.
Absolutely. I'll be the third person to piggyback off of that. So I've worked with Freddie for years, and one thing I've learned from him is to always give yourself grace. Like a lot of students are saying, how do I find community? How do I stop struggling and accept what I've done? Give yourself grace. Don't be so hard on yourself. None of us are perfect. There is beauty in the flaws. There's beauty in the trial. Keep on going. If you fall down 10 times, get up 11. Keep on going. Have fun. Find your community. It doesn't have to be local. You have, as much as we talk sometimes bad about social media, you have a global community. Your community, part of your community can be here at Pratt. It can be all around Brooklyn, all around New York City. It can be in fashion. It can be in cuisine. It can be in art design and architecture. It can be in Tokyo, Beijing, London. Find your tribe. You don't have to pigeonhole yourself to where you are. You can be wherever you want to be. In your career, in life, just give yourself grace.
And I also know many of the students are here. I've actually gone into the classrooms and said, "Are you coming?" You know, as I was a fashion design major at FIT, and I bring these amazing people here and do these talks so you can understand that there's so much under the umbrella in fashion. So just because you're studying fashion design doesn't mean that that's the only path that you have to go on. There are so many branches within and under the umbrella of fashion. And so I bring these people here so they can tell you their stories, the good, the bad, and the otherwise, and the glory of it, and that you just keep going. And I've walked up to students and I said, "Hey, have you ever seen me before?" And some of them say no. And I said, "But when you see people that you recognize in your tribe, go up to them and introduce them. That's part of building that community. And we're here. We are here for you. I wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for the students. So what I do here is to bring back and give back to you. So if you see me and you don't know me and I don't know you, just come up and say hi.
Of course, yeah.
It really is that easy. And when you practice that here, when you go out into the world, it makes it so much easier to go up to others and say, "Hi, my name is, I saw you, I'm so interested in who you are and what you're doing." Community building.
Hi, I'm Adrienne Landau, and I've worked with Freddie, and I think what Rebecca said is like absolutely true. And, you know, I just want to tell you, I did not go to fashion school. I went to art school. I did 3 other things before, like I said, "Oh, this is a great idea. I'm going to do this." So I actually, fashion was my 4th business that I tried. But you know what it was? I just knew, I felt that it was like, this is me. I found myself. No matter, I just never doubted myself. I never thought, oh, you know, should I do this or this? I don't know. No, I knew. And I think that's what it is. You have to find something, and it could be so totally unrelated to what you're studying. Something it clicks in you, and you feel that's your path. And, then everything will fall into place when that happens. So, anyway, I want to ask Freddie, how do you feel about the fashion world today? In today's world compared to, I guess, when we were in it?
Yeah, well, God, it's different now.
I would say.
It's totally different. Because, everything is like, you got the Kardashians, you got social media. It's a whole different way of seeing, it's a whole different world now, because it's all about, showing off on the Instagram. It doesn't have it just doesn't, the creative, it's about looking at what other people are doing. There's no, not saying who you're, coming from there. So it's different. But, the thing is for me, reading, listening, there's more to it than being on the cell phone or social media, It's you go there, you go, you have to learn history and also have some etiquette and manners. And there's a lot of things, especially in the world. Because it's also a very sensitive fashion also. I'm dealing with young girls, and who are starting their career as a model. And I have to be conscious, and I have to be very careful, treating them, because you're responsible for it. But it's all fashion, manners, and
and research.
And research. Yeah.
Freddie, I want to thank you so much for tonight.
Thank you.
But I also want to thank the friends of Freddie for bringing their expertise.
Yeah.
And this was a great conversation. Please feel free to go outside and have some refreshments. And we'll be out in a minute. We have to do some photos. Thank you so much for coming.